Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I go through the PU monthly report, letting you know all the juicy details. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members who allow me to do this kind of thing. If you do appreciate my videos and would like to support the channel even further, all the links are in the description below. So we're going to kick off with environment art. The team began looking into art requirements for ship-to-station docking. They've supported several upcoming events and made progress on the refinery decks. They also experimented with gas clouds at Lagrange points, and it does sound like they are making really good progress on ship-to-station docking. I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of this come for the end of the year. The landing zone team continued with the ongoing development of Orison, which is Crusader's main landing zone. The main critical path elements are now established, including shops, transit systems, and hubs, with most moving from white box to the grey box phase, and they have continued production on all Pyro related content. The moons in particular received most of the attention, being brought out of the white box stage and readied for feedback and polishing. They said Pyro 6 progressed well with the global look and various biomes of the planet defined. Pyro is sounding pretty incredible. I really hope we get to see some more of this soon, especially with the week celebrations. It would be nice to see these planets actually in situ in the Pyro system with the new space sort of backdrop compared to what we have for Stanton. Anyway, moving on to ship art. They made great progress on the Crusader Mercury Star Runner, which is rapidly approaching the final art phase. It is expected to reach the release prep stage in October. This is still set for a 311.x build, so hopefully it is within October, but it will be sometime between now and 312, I guess. They also supported engineering on signed distance field shields, 3D vis areas, and docking features. They continued to work on the Hercules. Last month saw its lift and hangar doors complete their final art pass, and Habs made it to the art complete stage. The Talon is also close to art complete. The final art pass was made, minus the landing gear, and it's now moving into the damage setup. And finally, the Gladius received attention, adding component access across its exterior. I would love to know what CIG's plans are for the Hercules Starlifter. I own one, a C2 I think it is, so hopefully we'll get that around the same time as the Star Runner, but it's anyone's guess at this point. Anyway, on to AI. We have combat AI. For the realistic human combat, progress was made on accurate ammunition handling. NPCs, as we know, won't have infinite ammo, and behaviours need to account for their resources and decide whether they need to go and get more ammo. Also, if they run out of ammo and they don't have a melee weapon or a specific set of traits and skills to fight unarmed, they may decide that surrender is the best option. And a first pass was made with the team prepping several animation options and embedding surrender into various behaviours, plus they added better transitions when exiting and staying in cover under certain conditions. And finally, visual perception parameters were tweaked to allow AI to perceive and understand enemies from different distances. I do believe that we can now actually see enemies downrange to about 2,500 meters, I think. We'll have to check that out, but I think they've increased the range now. Also, each NPC will have their specific traits and skills and make decisions based on those levels, which will be great to see how each individual NPC reacts to the same situation. Looking forward to testing that out one day. For general AI, in regards to the chair standing bug, the long-term plan, they say, is to make extensive use of services to populate environments and simulate areas where players are not around, which will mean a lot of these issues will become irrelevant due to the system being used in a slightly different way. So that generally means that the majority of these bugs that are causing AI to stand on the chair will be gone with their new way of setting it up. Anyway, on to ship AI. The team focused on weapons, missile management, and did a further pass on capital ship behaviour, with the latter making AI gunners aware of damage compositions of their available weapon groups. For example, if a gunner has a choice between energy or physical damage weapons like ballistics, they will first attempt to lower their opponent's shields using the energy weapons, and then when the health status falls below a certain threshold, which will be determined by the gunner's fire discipline skill, they will then switch to the physical damage weapons to deliver that killing blow. It's quite interesting how each AI will have their own skill level in fire discipline, and those with a higher level will know how to use energy over ballistics to reduce the shields, making them more effective It will also play a huge part when it comes to hiring NPCs in the PU. If you want a turret gunner that's good enough to ensure that they're going to be effective, make sure that their fire discipline skill or whatever the skill relating to that is high, which will probably cost a bit more, or you could train someone up consistently on turrets. Very interesting. They also added more data to allow AI gunners to respect a cooldown before aiming and launching missiles, so when we are up against several AI ships at one time, they won't just basically subject us to a barrage of missiles. They also added a supplementary check to ensure that a ship recently hit by missiles won't be targeted again for a set period of time, again depending on their fire discipline for the shooter. Plus, they have added the ability for NPCs to intercept missiles, so they see missiles as a potential target and only shoot down missiles and torpedoes that are threats to friendly targets. Manned turret priorities also changed. Small and medium turrets target missiles, whereas heavy turrets don't because they're too big and slow. We actually got to see some footage of a javelin here, the turrets on a javelin, firing at incoming missiles and taking them out, which looks really good. Anyway, moving on to weapon art, they are training new members in Maya for creating new weapons and attachments. Attachments-wise, they began work on new sets of scopes, barrels and underbarrel attachments. The Bearing FS9 light machine gun began its first art pass, while the Gemini AO3 sniper rifle entered final art phase. The audio team are cleaning up the music system by refactoring and organizing old files and optimizing code. They revisited old space derelicts and supported the green zone removal. They began work on the physics prop refactor and improved some of the older props used by the object push and pull feature slated for 3.12. And code-wise, the team completed work to enable the playing of audio on GPU particles and further developed the tools used by the sound designers. For characters, work on an armor set due for completion in Q4 that the team referred to as especially challenging to implement due to the changing geometry in its variants. I do not know what this could be, but if I was going to hazard a guess, I would say it's potentially the Titan suit. I believe this could be the armor set that's on the roadmap, which if that's the case, then it is not the Titan suit. I think Jared confirmed that that won't be the case, but I would love to know what other people's thoughts are on this. For characters, other tasks involved NPC clothing assets, mission giver heads, and concepts for a utilitarian mining-focused armor. The team actually said, "We are particularly excited to finally be adding more gameplay armors to the PU, as design will now be delivering armor design documents to us at regular intervals. Among others, we have started concepting a series of bounty hunting and tracking focused armors, which you can expect to see in 2021. Now, I'm really happy they are focused on less combat specific armors and more industrial orientated armors. Tracking armors for bounty hunting will be incredible. So using specific systems built into your suit and your helmet to help track and find bounties, which will move away from the current, your bounty having a target over their head. The future is bright for these armors and gameplay features coming down the line. Finally, characters supported various upcoming releases and events, including the 2950 Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, which we have no dates for at this time, and the release of the Mercury Star Runner. So engineering did a lot of physics optimizations for systems like signed distance fields and added the G-force calculation to all rigid entities. Also, there is a lot of ongoing work for the Gen 12 renderer, and they implemented the TSAA stage amongst many other stages. Now, they have also done a hell of a lot of work on atmospheres, clouds, and the unified ray marcher. Really improving the visuals, getting the different types of clouds out there as well. And also they've done a lot of work to allow them to add ozone layers to Earth-like planets, which will emphasize blue skies and enable correct shading during twilight. Now, I have no idea when we're going to see planetary clouds or improvements to the atmospheres. It might be something they're working towards for Pyro and then applying it to Stanton at the same time. I cannot wait to see different cloud covers on planets. Things like Microtech is apparently completely covered in cloud and very rarely gets to see the direct sun, which is, compared to what we have now, very different. Plus, this might tie into bringing new weather types as well. It really sounds like they are creating something incredible to go alongside their planet generation tech. So hopefully we get to hear more soon in regards to planetary clouds. Anyway, moving on to gameplay features, the team began to redesign the Mission Manager app with the current focus on converting the app to the new building blocks. Once complete, the team will focus on updating the functionality and making changes to the overall design. They've also continued to make progress on the new reputation system, with additional design work and functionality being added. Focus is on individual player reputations, and this will tie into all the different guilds, the players, the UEE, pirate groups, and so on. Your reputation is going to be very important. For vehicle features, the main focus was on docking. They said fixing various issues with the Merlin and Constellation, with great progress being made. Also, the first functioning version of ship-to-station docking was completed. Testers can currently request to dock, get assigned a docking port, and connect with it. They are making huge progress with docking, especially ship-to-station docking. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if this comes later this year, so fingers crossed it will, but the chances are it'll be a 2021 release. They also supported the ongoing mining UI refresh. Aspects of the ship flight HUD and mining UI all now work together seamlessly, and the UI utilizes the new building block tech. I never even thought about them revamping the mining HUD. It'll be interesting to see what they've designed. Moving on to graphics, the team split their time with work on the new Gen 12 renderer, general features and bug fixing. For the Gen 12, tasks included converting the game's post-effects manager, and the core Gen 12 infrastructure was further developed to be compatible with the configurable graphics pipeline, and the contrast shader buffers were further polished. For level design, the modular team worked on the cargo and refinery decks. Also, they focused on general space station interiors to ensure a more focused experience, with further iterations planned for the future. The landing zone team continued with Orison, with all core elements now in place, barring a couple of shop layouts they're still iterating on, and both teams completed the first version of the new panels that will be used to update the elevator buttons. So, swiftly on to the lighting team. They began investigating alternate lighting states for existing rest stops. They completed a look dev on potential low power states, with plans to flesh it out across the entire set of rest stop modular rooms. They're also planning to create a look for emergency lighting, and these lighting states will eventually be integrated into gameplay systems such as power, and provide the potential for more rest stop variations in general. Now, I really love hearing this. If you don't know, there will eventually be derelict space stations, so some of the rest stops we see, they will have derelict variants of them that you may need to gain access to, and then once inside you might want to restore power or gravity to get the lighting back on. And these lighting states will really help define what the problem is, what's happened there. I cannot wait to explore a derelict space station, just to either figure out what's going on or steal what's on board. It's going to be a lot of fun. The lighting team also began supporting Orison, setting up a basic lighting pass for the white box layout. They said it's more important, even at this early stage, for the team to identify potential problematic spots where lighting performance will be poor. Lorville and cargo decks are providing a good test case as well for adding more animated lighting elements to help bring them to life. Like in Lorville, we saw the new spotlight. Expect to see things along those lines in different areas. The narrative team worked on environmental documents for upcoming locations, outlining tone, history and flavour, and detailing potential stores and NPCs that might be encountered there. Also, they've worked to plan out potential mission content for features currently in development. Very excited for these. And a lot of work has been going into the new Imperator election, which is going to be happening tomorrow, in fact. For props, they are busy supporting the new locomotion push and pull trolley system. This will allow players to manipulate trolleys and other pushable objects. Again, one of the most exciting systems for me, for some reason. Tech Animation have trained new additions to the team. They also drove to finish up the in-house facial rig and tool suite to enable the continued creation of new heads. I wonder when my head will be getting into the game. For tech art, they supported the Merlin and Constellation docking, 3D viz areas, and tested multi-grid signed distance fields with engineering. And an as of yet unannounced ship was developed further, and a bug causing shader damage to not initialize on larger ships until players are extremely close is currently being looked at. Now, this unannounced ship, I am assuming it will likely be the RSI Odin. We don't know for certain, but that is my theory. Do let me know what you think. For the vehicle tech team, they spent the month improving the behavior and visuals of vehicle destruction, focusing on making the destruction of extremely large ships a satisfying explosive experience, and they are prepping for upcoming improvements to radar ping and scanning, with the aim being to enrich the experience of discovering and gathering detailed information of entities while traveling on foot and in ships. So it's very exciting, firstly, to hear about the vehicle destruction getting some work, but also FPS radars, pinging, scanning, and as well as improvements to the current ship scanning. This, I suppose, will tie in later for when they start developing exploration gameplay. Having the devices already made to allow us to find things and find information about them both on foot and in ships is going to be excellent. So for UI, they continued to work on the refinery kiosk, pushing hard on stability and bug fixing. It will be nice if we can have a completely bug-free experience when it comes to refining. And then finally, the visual effects team made further progress to fire hazards, further developed code prototype, and making networking and performance considerations. So that is the PU monthly report. Quite a lot has been done on stuff behind the scenes. Very excited to see it all come to fruition. Do let me know what you're most excited for. But with that said, be sure to subscribe, because when we get to 30,000 subscribers, we are going to do a celebratory Star Runner giveaway. Obviously, once that becomes available, I'm hoping it'll tie in around the same time. Also, tick that notification bell if you want to be notified when my videos go live. And come and hang out over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers. We have a lot to go through today, as well as delving a little further into the PU monthly report. We'll be looking at the Star Citizen birthday, checking out Star Citizen Live with Chris and Tony Z, and maybe checking out some 311 as well. Anyway, thank you so much to my patrons and channel members for allowing me to do these kinds of videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.